Okay, so welcome everyone to day 2 of the 4-day ultimate elimination diet challenge. This is a challenge with a twist where we're working mainly on cleansing and letting go of emotions, feelings, and thoughts that do not really belong to us, that do not serve us, and that are controlling us. That is the whole point. So we are cleansing from the inside so we can look, feel happier on the inside and true happiness, not the one that you're showing on social media only. Okay. So we did the task from yesterday. We had 2 tasks and we had a good conversation on where everybody's with those tasks. Today, you get a little more insight into how to navigate these emotions. And I'm also going to give you a technique that you can use to shift them. Okay. So emotions can feel very complex, especially when we just want to feel good. There are days where we want to feel good and we are not feeling good and we are frustrated because we want something, we're not getting it. So a common misconception, like I said yesterday, is that if you do enough of this work, then you won't be triggered anymore, or you will be able to deal with all negative emotions with ease. The reality is, it doesn't work like that. You just become more skilled at navigating, let's use the term, the weather. Okay. As you shift your beliefs about emotions in general, which you talked about yesterday, you relate to them differently. You're already starting to see, right? Some of you said you're starting to see things differently, which ultimately changes your experience of them. When you begin to dive deeper into, when you begin to dive deeper into this work, it seems as though emotions come on so fast. It's almost as if they're coming out of nowhere. Sometimes we feel that too. Like it's just changing rapidly. Generally, has anybody experienced that? Where emotions are shifting, from anger to quiet, crying, like so many things are happening at the same time, right? Or you're happy and the next minute you're sad. Generally, when we experience this, it means that we are not as present in the moment as we could be. We are scattered. But that's what we're going to do here. We're going to have a much more clearer understanding of what emotions are momentarily, okay? I want you to start thinking of emotions like weather now. Do you judge weather? Is there anybody who judges weather here? I know of some, but do you guys judge weather? No?
No. Judge in the sense like how?
Like whatever the weather is, do you judge it?
Yeah, of course. When it's gloomy, we feel depressed. Like already
There
we
we
had a
go. There
notion. We
we
have a
go.
notion in our head
Yes,
that tomorrow is
exactly.
going to be
Exactly.
gloomy.
Exactly. That's my point. And that's the people I know. And that's where I have to sometimes zip it up. And sometimes I'm very vocal about, please, I don't need to hear this. Right. So, yes, thanks for speaking up. But this is where we are actually going. So, do you judge weather? Some people do, some people don't. You may not like certain weather patterns and have preferences for others. I prefer fall and summer. I don't prefer winter. But since you know that weather just happens, it's just nature, it just happens. You're not planning anything, it's just there. You step out, it's snowing, you step out, it's sunny. You just work around it, right? You pivot yourself rather than you trying to stop the rain. Now, if I'm getting out and it's snowing, am I going to stop the snow or I'm going to manage around it? We're going to manage around it, right? So if we think of emotions like weather, why would you stop yourself from crying or feeling a certain way? Do you stop rain, sunshine? No. If crying is a translation of an energetic release, which it is, right? When we cry, we're releasing something and we feel better mostly after that. Would we not celebrate the relief from that held up resistance? Right? Aren't we happy that I have released some emotion by crying? Or are we going to stop that crying because it's not right? Again, comparing weather to the emotion of crying. Okay, hang in there. We have grown up, some of us may have grown up where we're told to stop crying or put on a happy face. We tell that to our kids too, right? Be happy. Why do you have this sad face all the time? Now that you're an adult and I'm an adult, we get to change those rules. By seeing your emotions like the weather, you create space for them. If I walk out and if it is snowing and I say, oh my God, I hate snow, what the hell now, I just don't like it. I feel like I have to carry 10 coats now and wear these boots and I'm going to maybe fall down, whatnot, whatnot. I can go on and on, right? But if I just say, it is snowing, at least I gave space. I just didn't give my judgment. I created space for this weather, right? At least in my head. You here with me so far? Okay. So this is very important because when we overly identify with our emotions, they start to become a habit. Now, if I overly, like Ruchi said, if you overly identify with, oh, it's gloomy, gloomy means depression. Oh, I'm going to be sad. Okay, now what do I do? Right? It becomes a habit. Then, yeah, so it is this, so I am this. And I hear that everywhere, even in my household. This is the weather, this is the kind of weather that everybody gets sick. Sometimes it's this, sometimes it's that. Who's telling you that? There are 50% that are still healthy, but you feel like this is going to cause sickness. So yes, it is. Right? So when you overly identify with emotions, when we do that, they actually become our entire personality. The amazing thing is that the initial sensation of a feeling that comes over us lasts just 90 seconds. This is scientific. Then we solidify it into a place as an emotion for much longer than that through our thoughts, beliefs, and point of focus. So they're very rapid, they come. But when we focus on them and we overly identify with them, then what do they become? Thoughts, beliefs, and everything else, destiny at the end of it. So where do emotions originate from? Consider that your brain is attending to around 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day. Could be more for some or less. Naturally, it would be nearly impossible to be consciously present with every thought, correct? We might be thinking so many, but we're not consciously like with every thought. Your brain handles this mass amount of input by consolidating the information, allowing you to function from routines and habits so that you're not spending much energy on every little thought. This allows us to function efficiently in our lives. We think we're efficient, but yeah, it helps us in a way to get through with everything on our list and carry on with our work and pay attention to our surroundings at the same time. It can do us disservice if we are unconscious for too long. It's getting deep, so take deep breaths if you feel like you're getting lost. Remember, a weather pattern is energy or a frequency. Everything is energy or frequency. Our thought forms are translating that energy into words, beliefs, and stories for you to make sense of it. Understood? You want me to repeat? A weather pattern is energy or a frequency. Our thought forms are translating that energy into words, beliefs, and stories for you to make sense of it. Now, those words, beliefs, and stories are an energy of their own. So here we go, round and round, solidifying that energy into our bodies. What does that mean? The meaning you're giving to it is what you're going to experience. It is knowing the meaning you give to it is what you're going to experience. Okay? Consider also that it takes a mere 17 seconds of conscious focus. Just imagine only 17 seconds of focus on thought forms or a story. It takes only that much time to start building momentum. It picks up speed with just 17 seconds of focus. That's why, what do we say? Be careful about what you're thinking. No negative thoughts. Don't say anything bad about another person. Because in a way, if you're constantly focused on that, you can actually curse a person. The focus, if it continues to build. So this is so subtle at first that you may not even notice it. But if you left it unchecked for a few hours, you could have a very strong negative momentum going. Imagine that ball. It's going down, say it's going down a hill. It'll start going and then it'll pick up speed. That's how our thoughts, especially negative thoughts, because like I said, we are like frogs in the same well. It's very easy to be around that. And once that momentum starts, then it rolls very fast after that. And there you go. Now you're in a bad mood, which we often blame something outside of ourselves for. I feel mad and bad because this one didn't do this. But no, that's not the reason. It's your own meaning to that problem that has given you this negativity. But nobody will tell you that because everybody says, yeah, the person that did this to you is bad. Okay. So, how is it that we end up in these repetitive negative emotional patterns? What was the word I used yesterday? They are rehearsed. Yet we think it's something outside of ourselves, making us feel a certain way. But in reality, it is what is already being practiced inside of you to be a certain way. It's our beliefs, thoughts, things we picked up, imagination also sometimes. Okay. Just to give you an example, I have a long-term client who has come a long way in decreasing her anxiety. A while back, she was experiencing issues with relationship, right? Finding somebody. Finally, she found somebody, but the fear was always there. What if I lose him? What if it doesn't last? Right? So it wasn't her exterior has changed, but an old program is still running where worry is still dominant. But worry is a rehearsed emotion. She's rehearsed it so much that she feels that is the reality. Right? When and with this rehearsed emotion dominating her life, it's easy to find something new to worry about because that emotion is so prevalent and so close that it's always playing and it's always going to look for something else. Here with me? So you may be thinking that you can ignore these unhelpful thoughts and suppress those emotions. Okay, I worry a lot. I'm not going to worry. I'm not going to worry anymore. I'm not going to worry anymore. And then you affirm, I am happy. I don't worry. But is that really helping? What do you guys think? Just saying that I'm not going to worry and just focus on the positive. Temporary, yes. Permanent, it's not a solution.
Rima,
That
this is Preet, and basically this is why I am here. I have tried to do both things, like ignore it. That doesn't help. But when do you decide? Okay, you are done thinking or processing it. That is the struggle that I have.
Yeah, see, your desire to really get to the root and to sustain that pain to get to the root. Your passion and desire to be there should be so high that these glitches don't happen then. You just keep going. If you give up, that means you were not really aiming for the root. Sometimes if we give up because we're tired, we don't know what's happening. I did so much of research. I'm still trying to figure out, but it's not. Then it's good to take a break. But don't give up on the root, otherwise it will continue to come back. Okay. And when we ignore it, like you said, or when we are just giving it different meanings just so that we can pass our time or pass through life, that's called bypassing our emotions. It's not called processing. Okay. We're just trying to dodge it.
So
And it's something,
if I'm understanding it right, what you are saying is, unless you are able to not get triggered by it, that is the time when you get done with it, or am I understanding it
yes,
wrong?
when you're not triggered by it through some seasons. So it's not like I'm not triggered for first 15 days, I'm all done. No, if you can get through some seasons without being regularly triggered is when you have achieved it. When I say seasons, think about at least a year without getting triggered or something.
Okay.
Okay, that's when you've solidified it. And then it becomes a part of you, and then you're like, you can come and do anything, and I'm not going to change because I've just gone to the root and I'm not the same plant anymore. My root is only completely changed. So what the fruits coming out of my plant are not the same that they were coming before. So you don't have any feelings for it, or you don't have any reaction for it anymore. Okay. So you may think that you can just ignore these unhelpful thoughts and suppress these emotions and just focus on the positive, which is good. But again, like I said, this is called bypassing. And it is something your body won't let you do for a very long time before it becomes ill. Okay, so is bypassing a good thing? Anybody says yes? So what is better?
Processing.
The
Processing,
processing.
processing is definitely better, but it is a long task, and
See, it's an
in a way,
investment. It's an
yes, no,
investment.
definitely an investment. Um, but what I'm trying to say is processing is definitely better, but sometimes you are not equipped to process it. You are so overwhelmed with the whole scenario, or you have too much on your plate that at that particular time, the only thing you can do is kind of put it on a back burner or bypass it, as you said.
Yeah, see, you can bypass only so many times. The only way to, if you are not equipped yourself, then of course seek professional guidance. You know, and this is an investment in yourself, in your soul, in your journey. Or you seek, some people will seek professional guidance and invest in it and say, you know what, I am not skilled, I don't have time, I'm not equipped, help me. Let's figure out a plan because I want to go from point A to point B. I want to jump out of this well quickly, slowly, or whatever the plan is. And some people, what they do is they will either ignore it or they will hang out with the same frogs. So they don't feel isolated anymore. So you manage it differently.
Thank
Some manage
you.
it this way. Some manage it by just feeling like I'm one with everybody and it's okay. I'm not different. It's okay. That's a way to bypass it also. Some people are happy over there. But it depends how passionate you are about your evolution. How passionate you are about your evolution. If you're passionate about your evolution, you say, I don't care. It'll take me a year, 2 years, but I want to get to the root of it. I don't want any magical solution all the time. I just want to figure this out so I can evolve in this journey where I'm stuck. And then you go for it. Like I said, it is not easy. It is painful sometimes. And it is, sometimes you don't get the rewards that you're seeking. But eventually when you get there, and I think Jyoti is an example here where she had worked through and now she's just become that person. Now, instead of doing all the work, she's just being that person now, or being that version. Like I had to do to be. We are human beings. We are not human, I don't know, doers. That's why we're called human being, because we're supposed to be. We're not supposed to just do, and validate and approve, get approvals and so on. We're supposed to be. Being is to be in that state of happiness, to be conscious, to be awareness, to be aware. But we always like do. I do this, so I prove myself I'm good. I do that, so I prove myself I'm so good. That's not what we want. That's all like temporary. So the investment in being is truly an investment, where it's like, by year after year, you see that I don't have the same triggers. If you have the same triggers year after year, year after year, year after year, it's a poor investment in yourself, sadly. But every time you see that your triggers are going low or getting better, if you were getting triggered every week and now it's once a month, kudos to you. Because your investments or whatever time, thoughts, you've given energy to improving yourself, you've just up leveled it. You may not be there, like I said, you might be like maybe quarter way through the well, but it's okay. You at least went quarter way because you said, I'm done with this life. I want a different life. I want a different perspective. And I'm crazy about that. I'm passionate about that. It's like, Preet, you love cooking. But another person who doesn't enjoy cooking will say, you're silly. Like, why are you so passionate about cooking? It's just cooking, right?
True.
But the person
That's
that
like a
has a
stress
passion for
buster for
something is
me.
very different. Correct. But the
Yeah.
person who has a passion for evolution, for growth, for seeing that I belong there, but I'm here. I have to make that climb. How do I do it? I may have to go through maybe people, seek help. I don't care, but that is where I belong. Once that starts and you start to see the movement, there's a passion is going to drive you there. And it can come in various shapes, forms, times. But once you know that, you're no longer the same person. And then people down will look up to you saying you're crazy. Like the people the non-cook will say, Preet is crazy for being so passionate. Right? That's how
Yeah.
it is. So you really have to be passionate about that jump, that leap, and knowing that that's where you belong. Then nothing comes in the way. Nothing. And again, it's a whole, like, there are a lot of things that you can do here. But we are focusing on how we can just think of at least balancing with awareness and watching things like weather and not judging. Okay.
Got it.
So we have to flow with the emotions. And what we do is when we try to flow with the emotions, we also try to soothe ourselves into feeling better with different things. Some could be temporary, and some people, depending on where in their leap they are, they could make better, like long-term soothing ways until it just becomes a part of you, which is the being that you are. Okay. So let's talk about the frequency scale now. This scale is still here. Okay. I gave you the scale for reference. For a moment, consider this is another perspective. Okay. For a moment, consider when you're swinging across monkey bars, you go one at a time, right? If you remember from childhood, or even if your child does it, do we go from the first monkey bar to the last monkey bar? We go one, then next, or we skip one, or maybe two. Some people can do maybe, right? If you have long arms, but you cannot jump from one to the last. You have to work your way there. The same evolution process is exactly the same with your emotional state. You have to go through, you have to process it. You cannot just take a leap. And sometimes some people can take a leap, like with the work that we are doing in our workshops. Yes. But if you are in that state of, I have to figure things out, then it's a step-by-step process. So for example, if you're angry on this scale, you work towards boredom, not joy. If you're depressed, you work on getting angry, not neutral. Isn't that surprising? I'll tell you why. That's because each emotional state vibrates to your cells at different frequencies. The denser the emotion, the slower the frequency. Okay. Now, what is the most bottommost here? What is the bottommost frequency?
You're looking at the
Fear.
frequency
Scale.
scale.
Yeah. On the scale.
Fear, yeah.
Fear. So you think that is a fast moving frequency, slow moving frequency? Is that a low frequency or high frequency?
Low frequency.
Low frequency.
Right. Yes. So when you're depressed, is it a low frequency or high frequency?
Low.
Low.
It's low. So it's a slow moving and it is a low frequency. And you don't feel like doing much then. Right? Now consider when you're angry. Is that high frequency or low frequency?
Low.
Low, towards low.
It's a low vibration, but the frequency of anger is what? What do you do when you're angry? You're fired up.
You're fired up, yeah.
The heat is high. and you have a lot of energy to expend. When you're angry, what do people do? Some people will throw things, right?
Mm.
There's a lot of energy. This is why when we are seeking to alchemize and shift how we feel, we have to address our current state or our current frequency. So your next task, I want you to review this chart again. Take a notice of your emotional states. Seek to create space from them by refraining to tell yourself a story about why. You can simply observe and acknowledge it like a weather pattern moving through. Okay? Simply observe like a weather pattern moving through. Notice where you're on the scale. Say, tomorrow or between the next session and now, you feel sadness. Okay? So what are you going to do? You notice that I'm feeling sad. You're going to seek to soothe your way up 1 or 2 monkey bars only. You're not going to say, okay, I just want to feel blissful from sadness. I want to go to bliss. You're going to have patience with yourself in that process. Our biggest challenge is we want to speed things through because we don't want to be uncomfortable. And being uncomfortable is the biggest awareness to seek and have so you can go to the next level. We are bypassing being uncomfortable also at many times. So take your time through it. Taking your time through this will actually provide better long-term results. So in the next class, we'll continue on the emotional body and go over some specific other tools I'm going to recommend for moving through some of these states. But for now, what is the lesson for you? Review the scale. Use it as your guide as you work your way up step by step. For now, you're just going to follow your intuition of how you soothe yourself in that moment. Then notice what tends to be a repeated emotional state or frequency for you. So you're going to try to, you're not going to try to shift, but you're going to just say, okay, what is that one level I can go up? If you're full of anger and if you're charged with energy, what do you need to do? Do you need to go for joy? What do you think you're going to do? There's no right or wrong. There's just some thought process of why.
Maybe be in action of doing something else.
Okay. But what state would you choose?
Rima, did you say anger? Sorry, I missed.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's
So when you say
I don't know.
state, I mean, validate the feeling.
Right. So you validated that you're angry. Okay, you identified it. From this list, where would you move?
I think more to like after you somebody said acknowledge it, it's like calm yourself down before you rationalize it. Why are you angry?
Correct. So you look at it as a weather, shifting weather. Rather than jumping onto, I'm angry because this person said this. Okay, I'm angry. At least pause. Give it the space. And are you going to quickly shift to joy? Remember the monkey bar?
No.
So think of the monkey bar and where do you think you can move?
Maybe overwhelm.
Yeah, you can get to overwhelm. You can also take it to, because anger is full of charge, high energy. You may want to take yourself to boredom also. You don't necessarily have to become all positive all of a sudden. You're just going to shift that state a little bit to balance that energy because there's so much heat, there's high energy, and now you want to just slow down. Calmness will come with that. So it's more like being aware of where you are on this scale and not taking that big leap from extreme negative to positive, but saying that this is my frequency, this is my energy. Let me find something that will balance it off, and then I will take it from there. Okay? So remember the monkey bar. If you don't remember this, say, okay, I feel like this, and I'm not seeking to make a quick jump, and what's the next thing I can do? Instead of focusing on the trigger itself, give it the space and you'll find a better way to deal with it. Not that you're not going to deal with it. It's just you're going to be better equipped to deal with it. Okay? All set? That is the goal for the next class. Any questions?
No questions, but I had a movie recommendation. I don't know if you guys have watched Inside Out 2 or not. If any of you have watched the movie.
What's the name again?
Inside Out 2.
Okay.
It's an animated movie, but has to do